What's up, guys? Today on Dirt Lifestyle, we are going to build some rear fender flares, and we're going to mount it to some GenRight rear corner armor. Now, what's cool about this corner armor is that it's a blank, meaning that the wheel well arch has not been cut out yet, and we're going to start with a blank canvas. Perfect for a build like this where it's 10 inches stretched over stock, and I want to make sure that the wheel well arches line up the way it should. So I didn't want to buy something universal and then have to like trim out a weird shaped hole or anything like that. I wanted to start with a blank canvas, and it's cool that this product's even available. We made a big step in the shop today. The Jeep is on all 4 tires. I do like the way the rear tires kind of protrude just a little bit past the bumper. I don't like the look of it going back too far, but I think that's just perfect. It makes it look stretched, but it doesn't make it look too stretched. I'm really excited for the next step, which is building these rear fenders. This is gonna take a lot of time, but it's totally worth it. Things like fenders really change the look and feel of your rig overall. We're gonna start by flexing out the rear end of the Jeep so that I can take some measurements and see exactly where we need to cut. I have the driver's side of the Jeep flexed all the way down as far as I'm comfortable with. So for me, that's 36 inches based on the shocks that I have. And we have 36 inches from mounting point to mounting point. So what I did is I put a jack stand down there, and then I jacked the passenger side up all the way to the bump stop to make sure that we're at maximum flex. We need to check clearances everywhere, so if there's any of this kind of stuff we need to trim away, we can, and we know to do it now. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the passenger side, we're gonna take some quick measurements, so then we can translate that information directly to where we need to cut on our rear corner guards. As you can see, we've got this tire stuffed as high as it will go. It's all the way on bump stop. The bump stops are empty, so they're all the way compressed. And this is the absolute most amount of flex it will see. I'm measuring from the top of the tire to the top of this rim, because the rim is where the armor is gonna end. As you saw, I made a bunch of marks here and places that I want to cut and eliminate some of this armor so we can get it bolted onto the Jeep. I showed you earlier, I basically just marked off from the top to where the top of the tire is, and that's gonna be that first horizontal line. So the way that I did it is I just measured off the door, I made a bunch of common lines and marks. I made measurements off of this to where it hits the inside of the tire here, and I'm just cutting off bare minimum right now. You saw me using this guy right here. This is a pipe wrap. This is something that I use for all kinds of stuff, and this is one of the reasons that I like it, is that I can go around a corner like this and keep things straight. Another thing I do with this pipe wrap is I rolled it up to a size that I really liked. I put a piece of tape on it, and that way I could make a nice little spot to trace right there. I did the exact same thing on the other fender, all of my measurements and everything. As I made a mark on this one, I went over to the other one and made a mark on this one, so they're both identical. You can cut aluminum with a lot of different types of tools, but I have a plasma cutter, so I'm gonna use that. All right, I don't hate it. Now we can start marking this thing up, getting it ready for the next line of cuts. Then I can go through the flap disc and I can open up some of these different spots to make it look a little less boxy. Then once we're done with that, we'll bolt them on. I like it. I think it's done. The only thing I need to do is bolt it on, and then I can start working on building these fender flares. To keep things light, we're gonna build these rear fender flares out of aluminum. So we've got some aluminum tube, fairly thick wall, probably, I mean, at least 3/16, but maybe even quarter. And then we have this sheet of plate right here. I believe that's 3/16. As you saw, I snapped myself a nice straight line with the chalk line, and that's basically just to give me like an indexing mark, something that I can keep track of, like, okay, this faces up or this faces out, whatever, because we're gonna do compound bends, meaning there's more than one bend on this piece of material. So we're gonna do 4 bends. I'm gonna start with the ones that take care of shape first. So to follow the contour of this opening, we're gonna do first, and then the last 2 bends we're gonna do are gonna be the ones that actually take and push it towards the vehicle. You'll see what I'm talking about as we go along. I have a bunch of pre-bent pieces of tubing. If you watched any of my other videos where I bend, you see that I use these a lot. Looks like a 45 is really close to this first bend. It needs to go a little bit more than a 45, and I write on all of my little pre-bent sections, 48 degrees makes 45 degrees. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bend it to like a 55. It looks like it needs just a little bit more. That'll probably bring it down to like a 52, something like that, and I'll see how that fits. As you can see, I changed my original design a little bit. I decided to go 3 bends instead of 4. And it's just as simple as I fabricate, I make changes constantly. Just based on whatever I think looks the best. I just trust my gut and build it. The next step would be to mark it in a way that you know how to cut it. So I measure it from the armor to the center of the tube, 3.5 inches there. I go 3.5 inches there. I go 3.5 inches down here. And then I just eyeball it. I can look straight down this tube once I figure out exactly where straight is, and then I just trace it all the way around. I take it to the bench and then I cut it. I get really, really close. So my eye might be a little better or a little worse than yours, who knows. But at the end of the day, once I bring this back up here and I have it where it's really close, I can just take a flapper wheel and I can just kind of grind down one side or the other to close a gap. So that's how I do it. A little sloppy, but it definitely does the job. Sweet. I'm gonna be using a spool gun for this project, and there's a few reasons why. 1, I haven't gotten a chance to use it since I got this new machine, and 2, it's really easy for this kind of thing. This is exactly what's nice about a spool gun. I'm gonna be able to hold this up there exactly where I want it, and I'm gonna be able to just tack it in place. Whenever you're TIG welding, it's much harder to do that, only because, you know, you're trying to hold rod, you're trying to hold your material up there, you're trying to hold the TIG torch, and it is so much harder. I went through and I've cleaned this up as clean as it is gonna get. It is ready to be installed. This is gonna be something that's a question mark for me. I'm not sure exactly how this is gonna bend. I'm gonna bend it the way I would if it was steel. If this was a steel fender, I would go through, I would tack it all the way up to this bend. Once I get to the bend, I'm gonna push down, tack it, push down, tack it, push down, tack it, and hopefully I can manufacture a little bit of a roll right here. I do have a roller that's perfect for rolling material, but the problem is it's not rated for something this thick, so I don't think it would work very well. So I think I'm just gonna do it on car. We'll see what happens. If I need to add a little bit of heat to get it to bend for me, I will. Hopefully I don't have to. Hopefully it'll be fairly simple. Another good reason to have the spool gun is a spool gun's gonna make it really quick and easy to just continuously give it little tacks all the way throughout. Holy cow, that was a lot of spool gunning, if that's a word. Let's see how we did. All right, there it is. I was questioning myself on whether or not I should weld this upper portion or not. And because the GenRight one in the front, that's how they did it, whoop, all the way down, that's how I decided to do this back here. It will give it a stronger bond. I got some really meaty welds on the bottom anyway, and then the ones on the top are, you know, they're meaty as well. I'm gonna be doing some cleanup. This thing needs a little bit of body work done to it, but it's done. There it is. It was pretty inexpensive. You know, I think that this flare itself from GenRight was like 550 bucks. And I think with all the materials and everything, even with spool gun wire, I mean, I'm in this for probably 80 bucks or something like that. This thing acts exactly like a MIG gun. So if you are familiar with how to MIG weld with one of these guys, you can very easily pick one of these up and just get to it. The key for aluminum is to clean it, whether you're MIGging it or TIGging it or whatever. This machine does have a TIG torch and it's good, but you know, I'm a lot slower with TIG than I am with a spool gun. This spool gun made pretty quick work of this project, really. In the next video, I will show you these things all painted up, bolted on, lights mounted, all that other kind of stuff. But right now, I need to go back inside and get some rest. I am starting to get sick from all the weather changing and everything else, but I wanted to get this video done. I was really excited about building these, and I'm glad that I did. If you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to get Dirt Lifestyle swag, we do have a website, thedirtlifestyle.com. You can get t-shirts, hats, stickers, stuff like that. We also have a Patreon if you want to help support us that way and help keep the channel going to buy the raw materials to do these kinds of projects. And if you want to follow me on social media, I am at Dirt Lifestyle Nate. Thanks for watching.